This is Slashers, your new favorite podcast about your new favorite horror media. My name is Jake, and with me, as always, are my esteemed colleagues, co-hosts, and cohorts, Adrian and Doug. Gang, say hello to the mutant goons from beyond.
Hey, all you mutant goons, are you ready to shit your pants with some kid alien films?
Hi, mutant goons. I hope you guys have been enjoying our 2001 Space Augusty month.
I've been loving it. Honestly, every single day is a little bit frustrating for me, though, because every day I encounter a new alien movie where I'm like, fuck, we could have done this too. Oh, there's so many good ones.
Mm-hmm. There was one I was looking at this weekend and I lost it, though, but I was like, oh, we should have done that.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's just too many of them to do in what is it, 4 weeks? You know what I mean? Like, that's only 4 movies or so. But I think Species 2 is the one that really opened a lot of people's eyes and was like, whoa, this is a crazy movie.
Yeah, I talked to a lot of people on Instagram who like had it in their collection, but then had never seen it. And so I was like, no, you have to see it. And made sure that I added the caveat, like, whoa, it is horrifying. It is not the jauntiness of the first one. And that's kind of the theme that we're working with here this week. So we're going to take some childhood classics and turn them into horror icons. So your family-friendly alien, no longer. And so one of the things we wanted to compare it to, like, I think a great benchmark is Critters. We were talking about that. It can be cheeky and fun, but it's also horrifying. And so when we're talking about, rejiggering these movies to make them horror, we're not just going to be like, oh, and then he starts fist fucking his mom to death. No. It's just fun and campy. And so that's the tone. So, Doug, Critters is one of your favorite movies of all time, right?
Yeah. And the funny thing is, I actually think Critters scared the shit out of me as a kid. And I blame my grandma for that. She used to watch it over and over again, the first movie. And yeah, I mean, the guy gets his fingers bitten off. People are eaten alive under a car. You know what I mean? I was actually surprised it was PG-13 when I finally got the tape. I'm like, oh, I thought this was like an R-rated horror movie. Because, at least with Killer Clowns, that's understandable because that's like, oh, they're getting turned into cotton candy. It's goofy. But the first Critters is very mean-spirited.
Mm-hmm. And the effects, I think the kind of camp element of them get it more in the PG-13. For those of you who would like to waste money, the Patreon bonus episode for this month is The Blob, and rewatching that, I was like, holy shit, this is so delicious and good and gory. But what's funny is they could have just fucking phoned that in and gotten it to be a fucking G rating. When you think about it, a goop monster that eats shit, that's Kirby from Kirby's Dream Land.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so Doug, what's
no, I was going to say, well, with The Blob, that gave a lot of people probably nightmares too. Like, how can you make something so scary yet it's something so Looney Tunes like where the guy's getting sucked down the sink drain? I'm like, and you see like the thing go down,
right?
But it's scary as a kid. You're like, holy shit, I don't want to stick my hand down the disposal.
And what I love about The Blob, we'll get into it on the bonus, but my favorite H.P. Lovecraft story is The Color Out of Space. We even talked about doing that this month. But obviously there's some nefariousness with one Richard Stanley, and I don't want to support that. I do support Spectre Vision. So, that being said, I love the fact that you have an antagonist who you don't know its motivation. You don't know its wants and desires. You don't know its needs. And so the fact that it's so amorphous is truly horrifying and alien. Everything that we always see in these family-friendly horror movies, or excuse me, family-friendly sci-fi movies, it's always like, oh, I need Reese's Pieces, I need Skittles. It's all very relative to the human experience, which makes it comforting. I think that one of the scarier ones is that Super 8, because that monster's like, bleh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that and the Thing. It's like, why did the Thing want to just create images of other people? You know what I mean? Like, the Thing is one of the scariest ones, but everyone and their mother and their father and their great grandpa in the grave, they've talked about the Thing. So,
Yeah.
Honestly, that's a frustrating one because it's one of my all-time favorite movies. I think that it's an amazing film, and it's been ripped off or homaged in so many different ways. And at a certain point, you're like, what is there left to say? Mm-hmm. But if you'd like us to talk about the Thing, the only way I think I would really want to do that is a series retrospective, talking about the game, just doing something that's a little bit more comparative analysis because it's so relied upon in modern media. Like there's an episode of the X-Files, I think it's Ice, where it's just the thing but bad. And so you can find that all over the place.
Yeah, definitely. And then the musical score too on that. That's with a lot of this here too. I mean, I was sitting back watching Critters again too, and like the musical score, it's a horror score. Like it's super scary, and that's the same guy that scored the Brave Little Toaster. So you know what I mean? It's that same kind of very eerie feeling. So those of you who've seen Critters and Brave Little Toaster, they go hand in hand.
Perfect. Do you have any other talking points on Critters before we kind of go on? And, everybody, all the listeners, keep Critters in the backdrop of your mind. That's the tone we're working for, and we're going to fuck up the rest of it.
Yeah. Well, no, if you haven't seen it, Shot Factor has a really cool Blu-ray box set of 1 through 4. I mean, the 4th movie sucks, and they're in space, so it should be fun. Yeah. Why is it not fun? It just sucks. And then of course, they made that show and the movie. Just ignore those. That was
so sad.
Yeah, just ignore them. They're made by people who had no love for the original Critters.
I don't even know if that's necessarily that. I think that it was just redone and repurposed 4 or 5 times. And so it was just like the fact that it came out at all, it was like limping across the finish line. And so they might have gone into it with the best of intentions, but it went from like YouTube content to Shudder content and all these things. I mean, that's a cursed production if we've ever seen one. So, not that I'm apologizing for them because it's bad, but at least I don't think that it's as nefarious as some of the scum-sucking pigs I see online. And speaking of scum-sucking pigs, it has nothing to do with what I'm talking about next. I just figured it would sound like a great segue. I pick the Iron Giant for a movie that could very easily become a horror movie. God damn.
Oh, with my Vin Diesel. Makes me so happy.
Superman.
Okay. Firstly, I don't know about you, but the Iron Giant always made me cry. If I watched it today, I would just start crying. Like, it's really sad. So it's already horrifying for me. I'm interested to see what other things make it even more horrifying for you guys.
Yeah, well, I guess here's a little horrifying statement on the Iron Giant. I only seen it once, and when I remember seeing it, when I rewatched it again, I'm like, oh, where's the scene where the deers like lick the guy filled with poop? And I always got confused. It was the scene. I always confused Iron Giant with 8 Crazy Nights.
So, the animation style is super similar.
Yeah, because I only seen the Iron Giant once, and I remember like, where's this scene? Where's the scene with the Game Boy? I'm like, oh, that's 8 Crazy Nights. Holy shit, I'm going crazy.
Have to shave the unibrow. Yeah, I'm all about that. But I mean, basically, the Iron Giant is horror. It's just at the 11th hour it veers. If he doesn't get the bonk on the head, he's there to fucking take over the world. So I think it's an easy one. It's kind of phoning it in. But when you think about it, like imagine being the kid who finds the thing that ends the world. If Hugo, I think his name is lucky enough or cursed enough to live and have to like live with seeing everything destroyed, that would just be a psychological mindfuck and delicious to watch unfold. Is that my Schadenfreude? Just think of somebody suffering?
No, I'd say your analysis is critical. It's malignant.
It's a PBS word, Doug. I'm very proud of you.
Hey, you know how many Criterion Blu-ray commentaries I had to watch to learn that.
But I don't know. It's very, I think as a little kid when when was it? When was the Iron Giant? Because I feel like I was
99.
Older, 99. Okay. Yeah. So I was at the age where I was didn't care for cartoons at that point, but my brother got it and wanted to watch it. And so of course I sat and watched it, and I was surprised by how abrasive it is for a children's movie. Is it a children's movie? I don't think
it goes as far as like Ralph Bakshi in terms of like adult, but I think it's meant to, go beyond your general like cutesy shit.
Yeah, because I think that if like it's sort of along the lines of like I wouldn't show a little kid the Hunchback of Notre Dame. And the same reason that, like Frodo in front of the fire and all of these, like very terrifying images, despite the fact that it is a cartoon, it is still not, I don't think it's very suitable for young children, like maybe like a 10-year-old, but not a 4-year-old.
Well, the whole movie about that shows it's like the Christianity way. It's like the priest is mad at Esmeralda because he's like, you gave me a raging boner and I want to have sex with you, but you must burn because I've got an erection.
And also her dark gypsy skin setting him. He's being triggered by it. He's evil. That's one of the tough Disney movies. When you think about the ones like, how did this get made? Like, sure, The Lion King has a dark understory. It's Hamlet, which is obviously a tragedy. So like some of them, if you look at other ones, like especially if you look at like the Brothers Grimm or the original fables, it's like, whoa, it's dark. But they do a really good job of making those like very lighthearted and fun. You don't have Sleeping Beauty or what is it, Snow White being impregnated in her sleep. That's not consent or fun or at all. But then when you get to Hunchback, it stays thematically really dark. They just happen to be singing, which is weird.
And the singing gargoyle. Well, that's what I remember of Hunchback of Notre Dame. Burger King's toys. They always had the gargoyle toys. I'm like, that movie wasn't even about the fucking gargoyles.
Yeah. Well, George Costanza was a gargoyle, wasn't he? So clearly not a children's movie.
Yeah, I was just waiting for him to come in. Come on, Kramer. Where is it?
Yeah, but I mean, I know that doesn't have anything to do with aliens, but I feel that it. Okay, so if we look at, can we move on to a different cartoon? If we look at Lilo and Stitch, for instance, if we're going to talk about Disney,
oh yeah,
I think it's a little more child friendly, but there is some like I think. Sorry, the aliens that are coming for him are disgusting. That's just.
Have you seen the original sketches for Stitch?
He looked like really like Toothy,
he had
right?
like a centipede body with all these long creepy legs and stuff.
Oh,
dude,
yeah.
Fucking nightmare fuel. It's delightful.
They should have had that. They obviously did this way to sell cute little merchandise with backpacks in it.
Yeah, honestly, that's what it comes down to. Is like, I don't think there's a really easy way to make that horrifying thing. I don't even think you can make a toy of it without spending, $1 trillion on pieces and parts because it's just so complex.
You're right. That reminds me. I haven't never seen a human centipede toy yet, so that would make sense.
I love that you added the caveat of yet because McFarlane Toys listens to our show religiously, and they're gonna be like,
Well, we better make the human centipede. Let's get some brown paint and some diarrhea stains. This will be. Oh, but you want to know what? That would probably sell out quick because a lot of sickos would probably buy it, including me. So.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like just the novelty of it. Like I'm sure on the topic of Lilo and Stitch, they have like the hula girls for your dashboard. I'm sure they have something like that for ass to mouth on your dashboard at some point.
Never go ass to mouth. Okay. I did find the drawing. It is crazy. Oh my god.
Well, if you look at the other ones too, like the other characters were also much scarier that were then toned down to be a little bit more cutesy and family friendly. But think about it. You're harboring an alien fugitive. So you can take that two ways. Either he destroys them, or, the fact that it's implied he's committed some acts of attempted genocide and stuff. What if she's harboring who is truly the harbinger of doom? They come to Earth to try and stop. They successfully kill off the bad guys. And then in doing that, Stitch takes over and destroys the world. That's very possible.
Yeah. Well, good for Stitch. Good for you. I mean, the thing is that, we always look at the other as being so like horrible because it's not us, right? I think we talked about this before, but like, what if we're like the horrible things and they're coming to destroy us because we're just awful as a species?
That's Prometheus.
Like cockroach, yeah.
Exactly.
So I don't know. I'm getting a little like existential or whatever here. So let's just move on.
Well, it's a good point because honestly, there's a lot of talk about that in astrobiology. If something was sophisticated enough to observe us, would they see us as being A, worth visiting, B, worth existing? I mean, there's a lot of legitimate questions, and especially if we've talked about it, even just talking about Color Out of Space. In terms of contextualizing like perception and society and motivation, all of these things, we have such an egocentric view in sci-fi. People want money, people want food. What if you have a race of aliens that photosynthesizes and they don't have to have a commodity system? You even talking about trading with them wouldn't logically follow. So there's so many like weird things that are intangible. And so you could see being judged very successfully and people be like, yeah. Or you could be like, oh, you're not worth living. I'm going to scrape you out of this petri dish and start Earth over again.
Yeah, and it's something to be said too that why are all of these aliens, and even for other movies that we're talking about, they always befriend children, right? Because children are the innocent. They're still, quote, innocent. I mean, Damien obviously not, but I mean, children obviously, and then children are more accepting of them as well, because children have a tendency to not judge other people by how they look, right? Until they start learning to be prejudiced against things. So why are these creatures going after children? Plus they're gullible. So if you are trying to take over the world, why wouldn't you get a kid on your side and sort of kind of sneak around and get to where you need to go? Because nobody would think twice about a kid being somewhere. Like you'd be like, oh yeah, just go in there. It's not a big deal. And then Stitch gets in and destroys the planet, blows up the White House. I don't know.
See, unless you're a critter, you're trying to bite the kid's arm off and eat him. So.
But it seems like the two most common ways for aliens to get information about humans are TV or children. Generally, when we watch sci-fi stuff, because TV is expository and kids don't know to reserve or keep secrets or be wary of the other. They just divulge. And so you could easily see that being, the door in the foot in the door.
Yeah.
To get the world domination.
For sure.
And also, I mean, an alien that can surf is a very dangerous alien.
I know, he's good on water too.
Unless you're selling products for McDonald's, then they got advertising rights.
Let me ask you who you think would win in a fight between Stitch and Gizmo on an island.
Gizmo,
he's on an island. Just go in the water and then you can multiplicity.
Yeah,
just get wet and go fuck something up. So for sure.
Hey, that's what she said.
Oh.
I'm pretty proud of that one.
Never have said wet.
One that I've always wanted to talk about, it's very kind of in the vein of the Iron Giant one, would be Star Kid. My pitch for turning this into a horror classic: the kid is in the suit takes over, and he has to witness the genocide of his entire human race, and he feels culpable for doing it, even though he has no agency of his own, as he's just inside of this killing death machine. Does that give you a horror boner?
It does, yeah. It's like RoboCop on crack.
Yeah.
Well, but that's, again, he's a kid. So is it more horrifying because it's a kid, or would it be worse if it was an adult that got taken over like that?
I think it's way more interesting if it's a kid. Because I think that an adult can rationalize a bit and go, oh, well, people have inherent vices or are inherently evil, or it was me versus them or what have you. But just a kid being like, that was my mom and that was my school teacher. And now there are puddles of fluid on the sidewalk. Oh, my God, what have I done?
But see, that would be good. It's like, you didn't buy me that Hot Wheel, Mom. Now you're going to die.
Yeah, I could see a kid doing that. Like, oh, you gave me an F in my paper. Bye. Just going to take everybody out.
Yeah, I've seen kids like that in real life. Like real life Cartmans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Funny enough, I just finished reading the X-Men story Schism, where Cade Kilgore, who's like a 12-year-old kid, kills his dad and takes over like his empire and becomes the Black King of the Hellfire Club. But I was like, man, this kid's awful. I just want him to die. And I was like, that's awful of me to think that a child should die. Am I a bad person? So I had my own little existential crisis.
Now, let's see here. If you had a kid like Damien, would you want him to die?
You can't ask me that, dude, because my kids might listen to this one day and they'll be like, my dad was going to kill me in my sleep or something. So I respectfully plead the fifth.
Okay. All right. All that mumbo jumbo.
Yeah, but you say those things, right? So it's so interesting because if we get into The Omen for like 2 seconds, the father goes and has to do what he has to do, right? But do you think a woman could kill her own child?
Well, there's movies like Prevenge and Stillborn and those ones that kind of get into it, but
Proxy, that's a good one.
Let's see.
But as far as like, I wouldn't be able to kill the kid. Like, I'd be Rosemary's Baby. I'd be pushing her around in the stroller. Okay, I'll raise the Antichrist. It's fine.
Yeah, it's the Antichrist. He's got a little bit of an attitude.
He's
but,
not
you know.
an alien, so it's okay.
Mhm.
Well, speaking of giving birth to aliens, what about Prometheus? You get your little C-section in the little pod. Do you nurture the squid creature, or do you kill it with fire?
Ah, that's a good
Is that
one.
birth to you?
It's been a while
Oh.
since I've seen Prometheus. I remember she goes into that machine. Does she kill that little squid baby? I don't.
Yeah.
I remember it getting cut out. So
She does.
Yeah.
yeah, there's. Well, I mean, at least it
Well,
promotes abortion.
no, doesn't it grab the thing and then that's how you get the pseudo xenomorph at the end? I think I might be wrong. Just like you, I haven't seen it in a while, and even when I did, I didn't follow the story. I just looked at the pretty pictures, and that's the only way to enjoy that movie.
No,
Yeah.
she leaves it in the thing. I remember, and I think
It's
she does.
flopping around. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, God, now I have to watch that again because that was terrifying. But again, she was kind of violated, and that's why she was pregnant with that thing in the first place. We're
Yep.
gonna get into it.
They didn't have an
I'll
alien
leave it at
condom or
that.
anything. Or lambskin. You ever used a lambskin condom? That's fucking gross. They're like, oh, just throw it in the washing machine when you're done.
Luckily, I've been vegan. Have I been vegan the entire time I've had sex? I think I have. So yeah, I don't think that would be in line with my values system.
Just
Don't sell those anymore, though, do they?
you can still get them, but it's like putting a laundry dryer thing on your dick, and
I
it's
don't
just
think it-
gross. Yeah.
I've never seen one. I've never used one. I've never seen one, so I didn't think that was a thing. But I guess Doug will tell us.
Oh no! Well, no, that's for a different time.
Well, I
Yeah.
saw on the packaging that it doesn't prevent against like HIV and stuff. I'm like, so what does it do? And so then it was never a
It's
consideration.
like a piece of sandpaper.
Just
I
like
guess,
going
yeah.
back to Human Centipede.
Yes.
Everything's connected.
So I guess it's like necro-bestial anal butt sex. I don't even know.
Oh my
Wow.
God.
I guess if you go the deep enough into the large intestine, it becomes a small intestine.
So yeah, please don't use lambskin condoms, all you listeners out there, while you're sitting down watching Mac and Me.
Oh.
Brings us to a next one.
Okay, so Mac and Me, I hate that movie. I forgot how much I hate that movie because I watched
Fucking
it
love
yesterday.
that movie so
Oh,
much.
it's
His
on
mouth
Blu-ray,
looks
yeah.
like an asshole. Like the whole time, I'm like, what kind of like dirty ass shit is this for a child?
Well, I mean, it's also the same director of Tammy and the T-Rex, so there's like hidden underlying kind of perversions on that. But the thing is, I think Mac and Me would be a great movie if they made it horror. They'd be sex doll aliens because they all have that O face. Like,
Oh, yeah, that's true.
yeah, so it's like you've come to the planet kink. You know what I mean? So,
How about
Come
this
to
for
the
a new
planet
title?
come.
We call
Oh, yeah.
it subhuman trafficking.
that could work. Yes, subhuman trafficking.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
works. Starts
Yeah.
with the little kids and then just
Or inhuman trafficking, but I didn't want to tread on Jack Kirby. Sorry.
I'm sorry, Jack Kirby. Oh man, but I mean, what other movie can you tell as like an alien sex doll fetish that sponsors McDonald's with Ronald McDonald in there? I mean, you know what I mean?
And a
Think of
dance
one.
number. Don't
Yeah.
forget the dance number.
Well, they're dancing around with their large McDonald's drinks and their chicken nuggets on one side, and they're dancing on the table. Yeah, no, it's great. It's an extended commercial.
yeah. I mean, it's the poor man's ET. Like, let's call it what it is. It's like a spoof on ET, right? I
Well,
mean-
yeah. I mean, I'm looking at your background aid for you listeners out there. She's got the ET in the milk crate, which is now somehow a TikTok thing with milk
I know.
crates. But it's funny every time that same look where they put the blanket over ET, we do that to our dog, and we're like, oh, it's the Madrecita. Or it's the ET.
Have you seen the Virgin Mary statue that's just a giant vagina?
Yeah, I see that one. Yeah, and
That's
it's like,
awesome.
They have the little clit at the top, and then it opens like, I'm like, that's a
Oh, yeah.
vagina, right?
Hell yeah. Way to own it, ladies.
Well, she is the Virgin Mother. I mean, it's a common. Whatever. Anyways, so
Hey,
But
I
what if-
saw Jesus on the cross that turned into a transformer. I love people, the Old Testament's old. So like and the New Testament's not even new anymore. So let's spice things up. Get some vagina monologue statues and some transformers, and we'll throw a Mac and Me sex scene in the newest testament. Boom.
Yeah, and so I wouldn't be surprised if that statue started bleeding, like you always see in the Sun News.
Oh my God.
Well, because I remember like that. Well, and then South Park parodied it, but I remember when people were like, "Oh my God, the statue is crying blood."
Well, that's like remember The Exorcist when they defaced the statue in the church, and somebody put like these bloody tits like hanging off of Mary. like, oh my God.
Like, well, time to fire that new interior designer.
I know.
Yeah, right. Yoko Ono, I did not want you to do this to my church when I hired you.
Yeah, Yoko Ono, you can kill the Beatles, just don't kill the Virgin Mary.
Oh.
But yeah, so what else is horrifying about that? I think it's kind of creepy in the beginning, like when he's walking around the house with the kid in the sunglasses. So like, remember every time he puts the sunglasses on and he sees him. So like, what if he's able to see like in what is that one with the Barbara Crampton where they can see the aliens and the
From Beyond?
From Beyond. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like a Mac and Me From Beyond kind of thing. That'd be really cool.
And then another scary thing too is like when you Mac and me, I don't remember. I just call him Mac, but his family, like the dad. I'm like, is this how I look like when I walk around the house in the morning naked, like just my belly hanging out? I'm like,
yeah. Here's an idea. They're all very dry, which means that sex is probably not fun. So what if they all have detachable penises? So when the penis goes in, it can't come out again, and so it just gets plopped off and then absorbed, and that's why the dad and Mac don't have any noticeable dick bulge. That's horrifying in and of itself.
Well, I thought they used their fingers. It's like they fuck each other's mouths with their fingers or something.
Oh, wow. I thought that was the E.T. thing, but I guess it's Cest la vie. It's the same thing.
Yeah, that's why they're stuck in permanent
or que sera,
face.
Whatever.
I don't know. Well, why would Mac not have a penis though? Like that father,
guy's clearly slinging dick. I mean, well, they call him Mac. I mean, you don't have a nickname like Mac unless you like.
I thought it was Mac because of like McDonald's. Am I crazy? No.
Oh no, that's what they call him, Big Mac with cheese.
Mac Daddy.
I just hate that movie. Like I'm watching, like, why am I watching this movie? It's on Prime, by the way. So
it is, yeah. Because I'm watching a really shitty VHS. Like the lines it's recorded in EP mode, so it's like an even slower version than that. It looks like a snuff film, but it does. And so the other thing with that too, it's like with Mac and Me, there's a Japanese laser disc. It's like an extended version, and there's a scene with the kid in the wheelchair where, like in the finale, he gets shot up by the police and then he explodes.
Yeah, dude. So sexy.
Yeah, he's like in the wheelchair going like and they get all the blood squibs going off. I'm like, yeah, they really just killed that kid.
Oh my gosh, that's awful.
It exists. Go to for people listening, go to YouTube, type in Mac and Me, kid in wheelchair gets shot. Yep. It's in there.
It's awesome.
So then they did try to make it a horror film. That makes sense.
They did.
Well, it's Stuart Raphael, so he's the one that did Tammy and the T-Rex. So I'm waiting for them to release a gore cut of Mac and Me. You know what I mean?
Okay. We should message the Corridor crew guys and have them do an R-rated Mac and Me.
Oh,
they did the Willy Wonka and the James Bond and the Harry Potter, and so those are amusing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the kid also flies off a cliff in the regular cut. It's a slow mo. She's like, and then this thing sinks. I'm like, kid, you could just get out of your wheelchair and just. And no, he goes all down with the wheelchair and stuff.
Like, flop around like a fish out of water.
That's honestly, it's one of the best like running gags is when Paul Rudd does his. Oh yeah, I brought a clip on Conan O'Brien, and it's just that clip over and over again.
Oh, I forgot he mentioned that all the time.
Yeah.
On there. So hey, there you go. So you're Ant-Man, and what did he play in Halloween, the sixth one? What's his name?
Tommy Doyle.
Tommy Doyle. Yeah. Tommy Doyle, Tommy Jarvis, same difference.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, just
both have been recast like 5 times at this point.
Yeah.
I know what's his play. Anthony Michael Hall's going to play him in the new one, so that should be interesting.
Anthony Michael Hall? Oh wow,
the new Tommy Doyle. Mm-hmm. I think they should have just brought Paul Rudd back because that would have made me so happy.
I think they should have. Yeah, they really should have. So
they can't bring Paul Rudd back. He looks too goddamn young. They'd be like, why is this 20-something next to Jamie Lee Curtis's grandma.
Because he is like evil, just like Michael Myers, like the whole Thorn shit. He was like cursed. The curse of my whatever. Anyway,
that whole Thorn shit. See, that's
so
what
bad.
you could tell. Every Halloween fan is just like, fuck, I have fatigue from explaining it. So it's just that shit.
Yeah, but I do like that one. Anyway, so I guess this is a good time to kind of like segue into ET because I feel like we're beating this one to death. What do you guys think?
You just don't want to talk about Mac and Me anymore.
I don't. I hate that movie, but we can talk about Mac and Me. What else would you like to say?
Well, I just want to continue the franchise where it's the detachable dick show. So from here on out, every single one of the movies we talk about has to incorporate detachable genitalia of some sort to make it inclusive.
Well, I mean, Mac and Me could have. You've seen what's the Guillermo del Toro movie, the water one where the girl
Shape of Water.
Shape of Water, yeah.
Oh my God.
Because remember, he's like, he doesn't have a penis, and he's like, yeah, he does. And then she's like, how does it open?
Slit.
It's like a little automatic door at Walmart that pops out. I was like, oh, there it comes.
Oh my God.
Here comes the fish dick with gills.
Why don't we ever talk about that one? Like
that one won an Academy Award.
I know. Like I don't even know what to make of it. Like after I watched it, I was just like, what do you make of that movie? I don't even know. Anyway.
Well, that's why all these fetishes over what was that Disney movie that came out, Zootopia? You know, I used to work at Disneyland back when they did the 60th anniversary. I was a PhotoPass guy there, and people had sexual fetishes with like the Disney with the fox and the bunny character when they came out. Like, you know, kids would go and get pictures with the characters, but then there's those people who are like, let me get a picture. Oh, here, hold my nutsack. And so I'm like, oh, I blame the Shape of Water for this.
No, don't do that. Rule 34, long preceded shape. Everybody leave the Shape of Water alone. I've only seen it once. I'm only going to see it once, but it's cute that it exists. It's crazy that it exists. And you listen to Guillermo del Toro talk about it is beautiful. But then when you watch it, you're watching a lady fuck a fish. So, I mean,
it's not just that. It's okay. I think
she
it's
fuck
a good
a fish.
movie. I think it's a really good movie.
Where she fucks a fish.
He's not a fish. He's kind of like a hybrid or something. I don't know. He's
a plug-in.
He's not bad. Like, you know, if I had to fuck a fish, like that would be the good fish, I guess. Right? Like that would be fine. What gets
one fish,
me,
two fish. Erection for you, fish.
And this, I hate you. What gets me is like I'm watching this with Dan. Of course, I'm making him watch it, and right off the bat, she's like masturbating in the tub, and Dan's like, "What are you making me watch?"
Dude, that was a very interesting way to start the movie.
I know. So it's like you already know that everything like that could have happened, like already starting off that way. So how much more is he gonna like push us over the edge?
She liked to get down.
Well, see, I'm trying to remember. It's been a few years since I've seen it, but I remember when she was masturbating in the tub. Was she signing that she's about to come? She's like, like, what do you say for that? I don't really know. But
wow.
Yeah.
Who would you be signing for? Herself?
Yeah, like saying, oh, I'm about to come. Well, I guess that's too much Pornhub. I don't know. So,
yeah, like nobody yells, I'm going to come when they're doing it by themselves. Like,
my neighbors do.
What I love about that movie, when Guillermo del Toro, it's really interesting because he talks about like the failure, the pitfall of Le Belle and Le Bête, the Beauty and the Beast, is that the beast turns back into a man. She loves the guy despite the fact that he's a beast. And then she gets everything. She gets the love of her life and she gets a normal guy. And so he's like, what if it's not that convenient? And that was such like an interesting like transposition. And I really, really like that idea. But at the end of the day, I can't be that artsy fartsy. I still have to be like, that's a lady flicking her beam before she fucks a fish. And there's something with eggs. I don't know.
I know, but it's with the eggs.
Well, I mean, she probably, you know, there's this, well, back when I was in the military, we used to do a bunch of crazy stuff, but there's this one game that I remember some of the girls in the military would do called Mermaid. And I'm wondering if this girl from Shape of Water would do the same thing. She used to get caviar or like those red fish eggs. You stick them in your vagina and you see how much you can hold in. And you kind of like just shake your legs and you have to try to hold in as much. And it's a little competition. It's like the game Toast. You ever heard of Toast?
I've talked about that if I had a vagina, I'd be competitive about it, whether it be traffic cones or holding an amount of Skittles or something.
You can't just put foreign objects up your cooch and not expect to get a yeast infection.
I
or
would
something
put Purell
gross.
on it first. I'm not an
You
idiot.
can't stick Purell in your cooch. Like you can't just put things in there. Like
Well, I don't have one, so don't ruin my dreams because my dream vagina can have dream cones in it.
You do have a hole, so you can use that. Or would you just stick it up your butt? Just go ahead and stick Skittles up there and see if it, like, seriously, like you can just stick things in your vagina.
I mean, if I had a vagina, I would be using like a coin purse or something. You know?
that people like you, Doug, are why nobody accepts cash in the COVID world, because they're like, has that been in your vagina? You didn't have a mask on your vagina, did you?
Well, it already smells like fish, so here you go. Shape of water money.
No.
And on that note, I'm leaving.
All right. An abrupt about face. One that I have to talk about is a movie I love. Spaced Invaders. Have you guys seen Spaced Invaders?
I'll be honest, I have not seen the full movie.
I can't blame you. It is a smidgen too long, but there are some images in that movie that have stuck with me my whole fucking life. Like they have these like drone things. It's kind of like the Sentry drone from Hoth in Empire Strikes Back that floats around and has like insect legs. Kind of almost looks like a floating Gartham from the Dark Crystal. Fuck yeah, dude. That movie rips. There's so many weird, inexplicably weird fucking things. But I mean, it's already so close to horror. You just take out the yucks and it's like there. Everything is creepy. The creatures are creepy. It's such a weird movie. You can find it for free on YouTube. So I don't want to like get too far into it, but I highly recommend Spaced Invaders.
All right, cool. Yeah, didn't the guy who did the effects for Chucky, didn't he do the effects for Spaced Invaders or someone like that? Yeah, someone did that. I remember always seeing it. So,
oh my god, yeah. They look like what is it? Mars Attacks. Like
kind of, yeah, they are.
Yeah,
they are Martians as well because they get the War of the Worlds thing and then they come to Earth, and it's kind of a tired trope at this point, but it's really well done in terms of like the visuals. The story's kind of stupid, and it's kind of that awkward, when you're talking to animatronics in the early 90s like Ninja Turtles, there's always like that odd slight delay when speaking to one another, so there's that issue. But I mean, the dude who directed it also wrote it. He did, what was it, Dragonheart, all those goddamn sequels. He worked on Bill and Ted. He directed Angus, which we all know how much I love. So yeah, big fan, even though it's kind of terrible.
Well, speaking of which, who would make a good alien? I watched it again. My brother was over last week, and we watched Clifford. I'm like, Clifford would be a good alien.
Aww.
So good.
The big red dog?
Or? No. Clifford, the Martin.
God damn it!
That movie, yeah.
The one we literally watched together less than a month ago. You don't remember Clifford?
I do remember Clifford. He's very terrifying. So yeah.
Yeah, he's also amazing.
Yeah, you got to do those dance moves, like how like Mac did the dancing on the table at McDonald's. You got to get the Clifford dance where he's like,
"Oh my god, I have a great idea!
What's up?
I have a great idea to make that horror." So he's an alien, right? So he telepathically projects to everybody that he's a kid, but audio recordings, visual recordings, it's clearly Martin Short who's like 38. And so people are like tracing their lives together, being like, "Who's this old man? What's going on?" And then you find out that it's actually a creepy old man who's like the orphan, except he's taken all of Charles Grodin's organs and sold them in order to buy an engagement ring for a lady who's 3 times his official age. No, because he actually, in my scenario, he's old. So we'll say he's like 500 years old, so that when he tries to get uncle girlfriend, I lost it. It's not funny anymore.
No. I was gonna say, I always thought, like, rewatching Clifford again, I'm like, he could be like an Invader Zim character. Like they're like, "Oh, here's how you have to replicate someone from Earth," and it's like this 10-year-old boy, and he's like, "Okay, so I have to replicate a 10-year-old boy." And he comes to Earth, and he's just like, "I'm trying to." I'm this old man. I just replicating what I learned from Earth by this one video they sent me.
That'd be amazing. Invader Zim is the funniest shit. Honestly, it's so well done. I was never a Johnny the Homicidal Maniac guy, but I've always deeply loved Invader Zim.
Oh
And
yeah,
if
we'll
you-
see.
Aw.
I loved them both. Yeah, no, Invader Zim. I think well, the Invader Zim movie's on Netflix, but
Yep.
I think that fits in with this topic too. Kids alien show, but it's a lot darker too than you know. you think.
Yeah. And what's so funny is like some of the most grotesque elements are just like humans being humans, like when they're eating and stuff, how just fucking disgusting they look. I don't know. It's a fun, turning the mirror on itself. But if you like Invader Zim, it's very like similar to Spaced Invaders in a lot of ways. They're dim-witted, they're aliens, they have the aspirations of domination, and they have a very adorable little robot sidekick.
Well, it looks like I'll have to find Space Invaders, and I think Disney owns that now, right? Or I think so.
I thought, let me double check. I thought it was Buena Vista originally. I might be wrong, but it's
because I remember the VHS tape always had the same logo that Roger Rabbit had on it. So that's what I remember the most. I'm like, oh, it's a Disney thing. Or Ernest. I remember the Ernest movies had the same logo.
Yeah, it was distributed by Buena Vista. Yeah, so I was right. Man, I like being right. Touchstone.
Mm-hmm. There you go. So Disney owns the rights. Where's the Disney remake or the fucking like? Oh, we're gonna go do a backstory on this one character. See, they're not really bad. It's like their stupid Cruella shit. So.
Oh my god, my wife is so excited for it to drop next week. She's just like, okay, and she's like, she's checked like 3 different times to see, and I'm like, fuck, I know I've made you watch a bunch of bad shit for this show, but come on, don't make me do this.
Which one, Cruella?
Yeah, I made her see The Green Knight, so it's only fair. I mean,
it's out. It's on Disney Plus right now.
Not for free. I'm not paying to see this thing.
$30 to charge it? No, get the fuck out of here.
Fuck out of here.
Yeah. We have it, but I did not pay for it.
I gotta get your goods.
I don't want to watch it though. I honestly I just feel like Emma, whatever the fuck. Which one is she? Thompson?
Emma
Stone,
Watson,
whichever, Watson, whatever. I fucking I think she's
Sherlock.
Terrible. Everything she's in, she plays the same thing. She does this weird thing with her mouth, and it just annoys the fuck out of me. And I'm like, there are so many. Like Elizabeth Debicki would have been the perfect Cruella. Like, why can't we just put her as Cruella?
Because nobody knows how to spell Debicki.
Well, look her up, and you'll be like, oh yeah, she's definitely Cruella, not this bitch over here.
Well, I still like Glenn Close as Cruella. I'm like,
yeah, she's a great Cruella, yeah. Because she's good. The thing is with Emma Stone, like she's just playing. Firstly, like her accent is horrible, so that just annoys the fuck out of me. Like, why don't we just get a regular British actress or whatever Elizabeth Debicki is, and like she's really tall and lanky, and that is Cruella. Cruella looks like she's had too many cigarettes, doesn't eat, she's a hot fucking mess. Definitely not Emma Stone.
Honestly, though, I see the logic in your Debicki thing. It just my problem when I look at her face is that it looks like she was drinking out of a straw and somebody photoshopped the straw out in every picture on Google Images.
Well, that'd be perfect because then she'd have the cigarette. That's how Cruella is.
Well, I'm surprised. I really hope they make her smoke in this movie because I know Disney's like, no smoking in any movie. Because I remember they did if you watch Roger Rabbit on Disney Plus, it's like smoking. Hold on, the tobacco warning. Oh my god! And then I think they shortened down. They trimmed down Betty Boop's cleavage or something like that on the stream, which is stupid because I have the original DVD and I'm like, they go back in there and they censor it. It pisses me off. But hey, what are you gonna do?
Well, with Disney, that's the thing, because sometimes I feel like I don't know if you guys had this at Disneyland, but before the Stitch ride, it was the alien attack. Like you would go sit in this theater and the fucking xenomorph would come out and like the lights would go out and you feel it like whipping your legs and shit, and it'd be all these strobe lights. And
at Disneyland?
At Disney World.
What?
It was the alien attack ride. You never went on. It wasn't a ride. It was like a show. Now
fucking
it's Stitch.
Florida.
Stitch does it. Yeah, they took the xenomorph out. And now Stitch is in there. So.
And now they own the xenomorph again.
Yeah.
Fucking cocks.
Well, I can't believe they didn't have that in Disneyland. That sucks.
No.
Like that was so fucking terrifying. Like as a little kid, like, and I don't know why my mom like took me out. Like, why would I want to be on that as a little kid? And it's like spitting and shit. And it was so scary. Like it doesn't come out of the thing. Like it stands in like this, I don't know.
Glass case of emotion.
Yeah. You have to Google it. I'm sure somebody has a really bad camcorder recording of it.
That's how I watched the Gremlins and Beetlejuice ride, whatever. But just on the topic of aliens, if you want memory, the origin of Alien is on Crackle for free right now. It's a pretty damn decent documentary. It doesn't get into all of the issues of the movie, but if you want like a good broad strokes way of starting it, that's probably the best documentary you're going to find on Alien. We all know how fucking obsessed I am with that franchise, so hot dog.
I kind of regret that comment I made a few podcasts ago where I'm like, oh, Aliens, I like it more than Alien. I'm like, oh, I think I opened up a can of hormigas.
What? No, that's a completely valid position because actually I was talking with Chad about it recently because Chad and I had done the original. He's going to be joining me on the Blob episode for the Patreon bonus. We talked about the logistics of coming back for Aliens and then Alien 3 and Resurrection, and each one has its own merits. I think that Alien is the most groundbreaking. And so, you know how we often talk about the lowest common denominator, especially on this show, like what gets everybody, right? I think when you're groundbreaking, you get everybody in the sense that you're hooking everybody the same way. That subversion of expectation, that kind of pulling you in catches everybody. And so especially Alien, the first one hooks everybody in such a way where you get kind of the best of everything. And then each other one is so uniquely genre specific to like even Alien Resurrection, where you have the dude who did Delicatessen did it. So Doug, as an official obsessive of the xenomorphs, I give you permission to prefer Aliens.
Well, I mean, if you want to ask me my favorite one out of all of them, it's Alien 3, to be honest.
So fucking good. I have to defend that movie. People shit on it very, very unfairly.
Oh, they do. But can you tell me a scarier scene than I find it really disturbing. Like when, what was it? Lance Henriksen, he's like that broken robot and he's just sitting there. He's like, yeah, just unplug me. I'm off. I'm like, oh man, this is disturbing. So,
dude, I think one of the best scenes in cinema is the disgusting scene where Ash is trying to penetrate Ripley with the rolled up magazine, and it's so fucking foul and uncomfortable. And then the first time you see it, and he gets a head hit, and the milk comes out. I mean, it's just disgusting and gross. And at that time, you know, I had played a lot of Metal Slug and stuff, and so if you play like the censored version of Metal Slug, it's milk. If you play the other version, it's blood. And so I was thinking of like Metal Slug, and it electrocuted my brain. That's like one of the scariest things, and it's so funny because it doesn't involve the alien.
Yeah, no, true. That honestly, have you played Alien Isolation, the PS3 and PS4 game?
No.
That's actually a really good game, and the scariest thing besides the alien, because all it is you wandering around just trying to be quiet.
That's when we have the microphone, right?
Where you have the microphone, yeah. But the androids are the scariest thing in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So for you people out there, download Alien Isolation. It's a good survival horror game. So if you like the new Resident Evil games, it's a good one.
Well, honestly, like the Prometheus and Covenant, if you watch those and you ignore all the people and you focus on David, it's a really interesting, good movie. Like I think that those, I mean, because visually they're beautiful, right? But story-wise, they're kind of shit. But if you look at it and you don't involve the human element, you involve just the android. I think they're pretty decent. So before we get to our interview with Dr. Chris Impey, I have to say, Caravan of Courage and Ewoks: The Battle for Endor, easiest adaptations into horror ever. Watch those movies. They're pretty scary. Sindel, she's gonna get impregnated by Ewok facehuggers, if you catch my meaning. It's not nice. They're a little too friendly. They need to stay at arm's length and social distance. But I will hit you now. Dr. Chris Impey is a fucking genius. He's incredibly smart, much smarter than myself. And I talked to him about what scares him about the cosmos, black holes, buttholes, everything in between. Enjoy my talk with Dr. Chris Impey, certified genius, author of like 17,000 books, and a guy who definitely puts me in my place intellectually. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3. And my hearing is starting right now. So we are back. I hope you enjoyed that interview. Honestly, I'm just shocked that the doc would even be willing to sit with me. It was awesome. I had emailed him and he was like, but why me? And I was like, because I think that it's important that people understand that there are things in the unknown that are like, it comes to the known unknowns. Like, I know that aliens would be scary, but I don't know necessarily like what electromagnetic fields could do or any of these other things. So just know that outside space is scary. Now, Adrian, if I wanted to put shit on my body, on my tote bags, on my head in the form of a hat, how would I do that if I wanted that specific shit to be slashers orientated?
Okay, we'll just go to our slasherspod.redbubble.com. Jake has a lot of fun new designs on there, guys, especially our Mars Rats t-shirt, which I adore. So please make sure you visit that website. There's a million things. You get hats, t-shirts, mugs, travel mugs. I think we have onesies on there.
Yeah.
So in
That
case
is
you have
correct.
a baby. So just check it out. There's a lot of stuff on there you guys will really enjoy.
And Doug, let's say I'm sitting there and I'm like, God damn it, this Jake guy needs to shut up and I hate him. How can I avoid him? What show can I watch you on Friday nights?
All right. Well, Friday night action at 8 p.m. on Roku B-Movie TV. There's a bunch of great action exploitation films. The film we're showing this coming week, it's a real good one, and it has one of my favorite people in there, Clint Howard. Well, what do you mean? So if you like Clint Howard, here's a really rare, obscure movie. But yeah, check me out at Doug Bizarro. We got some good stuff lined up for you. And yeah, what about you, Jake? I know you host a show on there too, right?
I host Saturday Night Terrors on Saturdays. So if you want to avoid Doug like the plague, why don't you come hang out with me? We have tons of schlocky horror. Sometimes I get into some action, but sometimes Doug and I, we do a little swingers party, put our keys in a fishbowl, and I end up on a Friday night action. He ends up on a Saturday Night Terror. Maybe one day we'll get Adrian in on there. If you found us through Saturday Night Terrors, please let us know, or through Friday Night Action. We would love to know who you are and how we can reward you from taking the plunge of going from the Roku to the podcast. So with that being said, my name is Jake, for Doug and Adrian, saying goodbye and good die.